welcome everybody to another Flipping Tables. Today we're going to look at a game by Bicycle Games. This is another light strategy game. This is called Exchange. And this is, you're basically a stockbroker at the New York Stock Exchange in the early 20s, I believe it is the setting for it.
Yeah.
And which you're purchasing and selling stocks and bonds and that sort of thing.
Well, banks, bonds, and
Banks,
insurance.
bonds, and insurance. So you're trying to affect the exchange, and you're trying to purchase as many shares in banks, insurance, and bonds as you can. There's 6 rounds in the game, and you're basically trying to influence the market to gain the best capital that you can,
the best portfolio at the end.
To have the best portfolio and the best value based on your portfolio and the money on hand at the end.
Right. So you are a founder of the stock exchange, so you'll select your character that you're playing as. So we are
in this particular case, we're Leonard Bleecker. So Leonard Bleecker is going to start out with $100 cash. He's going to start out with 8 shares in the bank.
And that's on the ledger board.
Right. So our ledger board has sliders built right into it, which is really nice. They're a little bit tight, but that's good. You don't want them too loose.
You don't, because then they'll slide around. So they do take. You do want to make sure you get it in there. They could pull a little sideways, like when you're opening one of your like a window and it just catches wrong. That's what the
they slide.
Is.
They got a really good grip to them. So he's going to start with 8 shares in banks, marked here, 4 shares in bonds, marked here, and 6 shares in insurance, marked here. And this is up to 6 players.
3 to 6.
It's 3 to 6 players, this game. So each player is going to choose a broker they're going to start as, which starts with their starting cash and their starting shares.
Sure. Right. So then the market board is set up in such a way that all of the shares, so you've got your orange for your insurance, your blue for your banks, and your green for your bonds, and they start out at $50 a share. So this is your portfolio. This is what you have. The idea is to try to manipulate this board in order to make sure that you sell off at the end of the game. You have as much of shares in the more expensive stocks.
That's right. So you want to influence the board to bring the shares up that are more valuable to you and take the shares down that are more valuable to your opponents.
Well, being careful to not burst the market bubble.
Right, but see, there is strategy.
Oh yeah.
They do call this a strategy game for a reason. So, for example, if you reach the market bubble, so if a stock goes above 90, it drops back down to 10. But if you manage to bring a stock down below 10, it jumps back up to 90. So you could actually deliberately try to burst the market bubble in the lower case in order to bring something high that you own.
Yeah. So how we do that is you start off with phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 cards. So at the beginning of you get these fun little envelopes.
Yeah, phase envelopes.
Envelopes, and you'll choose which stock that you're interested in. So say, for example, we're looking at this. We're looking at this like we've got a lot of insurance. So
actually, you know what? Let's buy some bonds.
Let's buy some bonds at $50 sure. So you take your bonds card secretly.
Secretly you're gonna put it in there and you're gonna put it down, face down. Select security. That's phase 1.
All right, phase 2.
Then you take your phase 2 envelope.
And you determine you have cards that state 1 through 9, and you based off of what you own, you can buy and sell.
So you can either buy, or if you flip it around, you can sell.
And the number of stocks that you're interested in.
So you have $100. So you know what? Let's buy 2 stocks.
All right.
And again, this is private. Your opponent doesn't know what you're doing. So I'm going to put buy at the top, so it says there. And we're buying 2 units. So we flip that over, and that's our second phase.
All right. And then the third phase. This is how we affect the market. So we have the same 3 here, and again, plus or minus, depending on which side of the card. Which one? So we want now, this is happening after we've purchased them.
Well, our banks, we have a lot of banks, so why don't we influence the bank up? Let's increase the value of our bank stocks. So we're going to throw the banks plus 1 in here and flip it over. Now, everybody does that on their own turn. All at the same time. We all do that. And then we all, once everybody's selected it.
Well, one other thing, there is the lobbyist as well. So the player, after the first turn, with the most physical cash, will also get to play an additional one of the influence cards to adjust the market as a lobbyist.
Right. So once you're in rounds 2 through 5, whoever has the most cash on hand influences the lobbyist. So they can take again, an influence card, put it in the lobbyist slot, and choose what they want to influence market up or down.
Right.
So at the same time, we all show. Oh, sorry.
Well, we got the market force cards as well.
Before that all happens, we have a market force deck. And this market force is going to affect the market every round. So we take the top deck, we flip it over. In this case, we have national debt. Increased tax revenue lowers the value of bonds. So bonds goes down
So green.
So green goes down it goes down to $30.
Right.
That's the effect for that round. Now we show, hey, we happen to be looking at bonds. We're going to buy 2 bonds. So we now get to buy it for cheaper than we were expecting.
It's 30 and not 50, so that's great.
So we would then we would take our money and we would pay $60 and get the $40 back. And we would increase our bonds by 2.
All right, so that's going to stretch right along there.
Then once everybody's purchased or sold their bonds and given the cash to the bank, received their cash in return, increased their ledger board, you show our influence. So we're going to influence the banks +1, so that goes up. And again, the other players will then show their influence. So by the time that one particular round is done, maybe banks went up 1, maybe insurance went down, and maybe bonds went back up again.
And it could stay the same too. A number of times when we were playing this earlier, I affected to bring the banks down, and you were bringing it back up, so it's just staying right where it is.
That is one round. Very simple, very quick round. There are 6 rounds total. Once that round is done, we move the marker up. It's now round 2, and we literally just repeat that 5 more times. And by the end of the market close, we may have, say we own 20 bank, maybe we own 8 bonds, but we're down to 0 insurance, and we check the value of banks maybe are at 70, our bonds are only worth 30, and I don't know, maybe the insurance is at 60.
And that gives you the
so
score
now
of your portfolio.
You've got 20 bank times $70 per share, so you have $1,400
plus your remaining cash.
Plus your remaining cash. Is that 14? Yeah, whatever. 20 times 70. And yeah, so that's how the game works. That is exchange. I found it a little bit confusing at first.
The setup.
But once the setup I feel like for a light strategy game, there are a lot of components.
Yeah, once you learn how it's set up and how you go about the rounds, it actually is a nice light strategy game. Learning the game for the first time, I found like it was very confusing. This goes where? Why are we touching this? What's going on with that? It was a bit confusing with all of the envelopes and
the instructions. The instruction guide isn't as clear as it could be, is what I found in really diving you into the game. There were a few times when we really had to reread certain paragraphs to understand what it was actually trying to say.
Yeah.
It wasn't clear to us at first, but once we got over that first hurdle, I would say within 20 to 30 minutes, we were fully on playing the game.
Yeah.
And understanding how quick and easy it is to dive into. Now, for someone like myself who is not a financial person, I'm not someone who truly understands the stock exchange and how stuff works. It took me a bit to really understand what should I be doing. But I think after a couple of rounds, you kind of get a feel for how you should be playing the market.
Yeah.
Like you were deliberately trying to burst the bubble of banks.
Yeah, I was trying to push it down. So I kept,
I kept trying to increase it.
Right, and I was trying to bring it down so it would flip past and then jump up here. So all of the banks that I had purchased were now going to be worth a lot more money. We hit one of the market force cards at the end that
which
brought it up by 1, which stopped me from being able to push it over the edge, and I lost horribly because of that. But I made that commitment to this is where I'm going with it. And I like in stocks, if you make that commitment, you're gonna nope, I'm doubling down on this horrible stock, and it really feels like a lot like you can really be up 1 minute and down the next.
Yeah, for sure. If this is a game that interests you, I mean, again, I'm not a financial guy, but there's some interest in this game. I got it after a while. It's okay for me. I know you really enjoyed it. It's not really my style of game, but I mean, it is definitely At first, like I said, too many components made it feel confusing, but I get it now. Once you play a round or two, it all makes sense.
Yeah, once it's set up, it's much
Yeah,
better.
it's a very unique game. I mean, I really like it. You know, Bicycle is coming out with some really great, fun games, and this is like, Bicycle playing cards. This
Yeah.
is the company making these games, and of all the games we've played, they were fantastic. I really really enjoyed them. So
Yeah.
that is The Exchange by Bicycle.
Yep.
OMG.